This podcast is all about the power of the micro choices that we make every single day and how those choices wind up either leading to a life of vitality or the opposite direction. And I remember one of my favorite podcast interviews I've done was with my friend Katie Milkman, who's a behavioral scientist at University of Pennsylvania. And the reason she became a behavioral scientist is because she was doing some research on health outcomes. And what she discovered is that two-thirds of people, by the time they become over 50, end up living the rest of their life with two major conditions, if not more. And when she started looking at all the data behind it, what it all showed is that can be completely altered by the lifestyle choices that you make. Or if you decide not to make those lifestyle choices, it can cause those conditions to increase in magnitude and severity. Is that something that you have seen as well?
Absolutely. It's so true. And I really specialize in hone in and metabolic health as the core foundation of health. And so metabolic health related conditions, most commonly we think of type 2 diabetes, but also cardiovascular disease. It's estimated that 80 to 90% of cases of type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease are preventable. So maybe I estimate it's probably even higher because I think these are largely lifestyle related. But the vast majority of these chronic health conditions are preventable. We don't have to end up there, but most people do. Because, like you're saying, it's these micro habits, it's these small habits that stack on each other day after day. And you can either send those habits in that positive flywheel effect where you're stacking positive habits that are going to put you further and further away from ending up with chronic condition. Or you can have that negative flywheel of those small habits that add up that kind of slowly get you there. Because what people realize this, but we don't think about it often, is that these conditions take decades to develop. You don't wake up one morning with type 2 diabetes. These are habits that have stacked up on each other for 20, 30, 40 years. And so that also should be really empowering that there's so much in our control. And even if you find it at early indicators of diabetes or pre-diabetes, or even what I would consider yellow flags, so those really early warning signs, you can start to shift those habits in the other direction and then go back into optimal health state. And so our habits are really determining which direction we go, but it's this wide spectrum that takes decades. It's really about that consistency, the habits day in and day out, behavior change, true behavior change that will direct which way you're falling in that spectrum of health.